More news on Prince Andrew this morning. Royal editor Russel Myers joins me now. Russell, we saw on the front page of The Sun this morning the US authorities want to question Prince Andrew. There we are. Yanks, hand Andy over is what they are saying. Yeah, so it looks like he could actually have to answer some questions on his whole friendship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, good morning, Lorraine. This is a major development, and it says the Department of Justice in the US has sent a legal notice, essentially, to the UK Home Office, which is known as a mutually legal agreement. And what it means, essentially, is that this is now a criminal case in their eyes. Now, we've obviously spoken before about how the US authorities are quite perturbed at the fact that Andrew has not been forthcoming. He doesn't want to speak to them. They've been very vocal about that, making statements on the step of Jeffrey Epstein's house. And it seems that now this is the moment where they are trying to force his hand. Obviously, Prince Andrew has denied all the allegations surrounding his relationship with the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein, but it seems as though he may be forced into making a statement. Now, this can form one of two parts. He may have to go to a magistrate's court in the UK, and where he may not have to give evidence under oath if he agrees. But if he doesn't agree, then they could force him into making a statement under oath. So it's a major development in this long-running saga today. It
really is, and there's a new book out as well, isn't there, that's set to bring even more embarrassment for Prince Andrew and indeed for the whole royal family.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a book titled Prince Andrew, Epstein and the Palace by Nigel Cawthorne. And again, more uncomfortable reading for the palace. This goes on top of the Netflix documentary that's been top of the charts throughout the world recently, more damaging allegations surrounding Jeffrey Epstein, and uncomfortable reading and watching for the palace all over at the moment.
Well, on other things, Andrew's older brother Charles, he's got a bit of a new title, hasn't he? It's quite strange on this.
Yeah, this is actually a really lovely story. Now, obviously, we've been speaking through FaceTime, through Zoom calls, and it seems the royal family have been doing everything on social media as well. And now Charles has been dubbed the King of Instagram, no less. Now, this basically results from his posts from Instagram. We're getting around about 20,000 likes before the lockdown, and they've shot right up through the charts, and he's getting about 100,000 likes for each post. His first one nearly got 1 million. He was about 850,000 likes. Now, this is a big change for the royals. They're obviously trying to do things differently. They're trying to move into the digital world. And the people I'm speaking to are saying that Charles has really taken it on board. He really wants to have this sort of front-facing aspect of the royals. And he's been speaking to William. And William obviously knows how it's done. We've seen him doing his documentary recently. They're really big on Instagram, the Cambridges. And Charles is following suit.
No, he absolutely is. And he had some really, actually, words of encouragement, I think. We're going to be talking about this later, about teachers and going back to school. But this is what Charles had to say.
I'm thinking of those families who simply do not have the resources, such as online devices or even the internet, that are needed for effective homeschooling. Parents have done an astonishing job in such trying circumstances, and to see teachers and schools going above and beyond for their pupils in response to this pandemic has been, in many instances, quite remarkable.
It's good to hear him talking like that. Actually, seems more like a person and less stiff. You know, I think it's a real insight, and I love the fact that he's got his grandchildren to help him do it, just like every other grandparent in the country.
Yeah, just this human element is coming along of the royal family. I mean, the Queen has always said they need to be seen to be believed, and it's very much an aspect. We're all under lockdown. They're being self-isolating, whether it's at Windsor Castle or up in Scotland, and this is a way that they can get to the masses. And I'm sure it will give a different dimension to the royal family. We do want to see them out in public, praising our care workers and the people who've kept Britain moving throughout the coronavirus crisis. But it will give them a different dimension, that's for sure.
Absolutely. The masses. I love the masses. But also, you know, Kate is also, you know, she's been photographing and actually doing some really lovely pictures of her kids. And there's a new one of Charlotte and George being released.
Yeah, this is, you know, quite a sort of behind the scenes moment, actually, and it's from when they were delivering food parcels to people who were shielding in the local area. They'd made some food packages at home, and then Kate got behind the camera to actually snap it. But Charlotte is turning into a fashion icon. She's leaving her mother in her wake with this. The dress that she was wearing in these pictures that were released for her birthday last month is sold out. You cannot get it anywhere. The Zara dress is no longer on the shelves. So she's turning into a bit of a fashion icon, like a mum.
Oh, gosh, poor little kid. Now, tell me, this is an interesting one, because there's been a big profile about Sophie Wessex. Now, I've been sort of talking about her for ages, because she's kind of below the radar, but she actually wields a lot of influence, and I know that the Queen relies on her pretty heavily, doesn't she?
Yeah, I think we're seeing an awful lot more of her. I don't think she's doing any more work. I mean, she's been very, very busy over the last 2 decades, but it's always been under the radar. And perhaps that she's, the biggest thing labelled at her that she's potentially less glamorous than Kate and Meghan. But with Meghan out of the picture now, it's put a focus on Sophie's work. She's doing things like girls' education, women's rights. She's spoken at the UN with Angelina Jolie before. So she is getting a bit more of a power play within the media. Interestingly, she's spoken about her 2 children, Louise and James, and about how she won't be giving them, or they will not be taking up their HRH titles. So a lot of, hullabaloo was made about this when Harry and Meghan decided that Archie wouldn't be taking up any titles. And it seems as though Sophie was ahead of the game once again.
And again, just doing it with no fuss. That's the thing that she seems to do admirably. There's absolutely no fuss at all. Now, look, the Royals do have something to look forward to this week. It is a big birthday.
Yes, well, it's not all bad headlines, and, we have seen Charles praising our care workers, but there is a big birthday in town. It is Prince Philip's 99th, can you believe it, on Wednesday. Obviously, they have been shielding themselves, isolating in Windsor Castle. There won't be any big party, which I'm sure he is delighted about, because you can well imagine he is not a man for fuss, and he hates all the pomp and pageantry that goes with royal life. But he's going to be having a nice, quiet dinner with Her Madge in Windsor Castle. So we wish him all the best for Wednesday.
We do indeed. Thank you very much, Russell. Thank you.